see it now.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how the help desk software works, how you can customize it to fit your needs, and how you can get reporting out of it. And a lot of these things you can automate so that it cuts down on your technician work time or your own time as far as running those things on a weekly basis. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and log in as the admin user. A lot of these things the admin user does, but you can grant those permissions to some managers as well. One of the things that is great about the help desk is you can access it from any internet point. You can access it from a tablet, from an iPad. So when your technicians are out in the field, they're going to be receiving email, maybe on their phone, and they can access the help desk right from there. So it makes it very easy and very simple for technicians to use out in the field so they're not constantly coming back to their office to update tickets and such. So the way that we set up the help desk here is by groups. A lot of people will set them up maybe different departments in their organization, or they might set it up by location. It just depends on how you want to run it. So what you're looking at here, I've just named different groups as different departments in an organization. So, I mean, we've got maintenance, facilities, human resources, tech services, payroll. The options here are endless, but what we're going to focus on today is the tech services part of it. So when setting up a group, you have some options here of creating, first of all, categories and category options. The reason that we do this is so that your end users or your technicians can go ahead and categorize their ticket. And the reason we like them to categorize them is you can auto-route those tickets based on the categories. So if you have a technician maybe that only does hardware and doesn't do anything with software, the hardware category, they can all be auto-routed to a certain technician, and you don't even have to log in and make those assignments. And you can also auto-route, let's say you have 3 technicians that do hardware, but maybe one does the CPU, one might do printers, and so you can route them at the category option level as well. And also, for putting them into categories and category options, it makes your reporting look a little better and be more specific, so you're getting that information of what's coming into the help desk, what's going out, and the time frames that that's happening in. So here on the right-hand side, you're just seeing the different roles. So you can assign managers, technicians, workflow participants, and then your basic users will have access to the groups that you have created. One thing that I like to point out here is we do have a ticket pool. So let's say you don't want to auto-route things to technicians. Let's say you want to make those assignments, or you employ somebody that needs to make those assignments so that they go to the right people. Then they will just filter into what we call a ticket pool. And from there, anybody can be notified. So me being the manager, I could get a notification each time something is sent to the ticket pool, as well as the person that is working the ticket pool. So there are different options available as far as who gets notified when things come in. When you set up a group, you will have a permission model that goes along with that group. There's a default permission model that the program comes with that I will show you in just a minute how you can alter. But I'm just pointing out here that you can set up different permission models for different groups. So your human resources department might have a much stricter permission model than, say, your maintenance department, or maybe even your IT department. So it is an option to have different models with different groups. And then right above that, you're seeing asset management. We do have our own internal asset tracker, but we do integrate with ZenWorks as well. You can use, I mean, if you have ZenWorks and you want to use it, then you can enable it here. You can use our tracker, or you don't have to use any. And I'll get into the asset tracker a little bit more into the demonstration. So here you're going to set up different locations. These are locations that people are going to select when they're submitting a ticket, just so that you know where they're at and where you need to go to fix that. And then these things here at the bottom, this custom field setup, statuses, and priorities, these are things that are customizable just to you as an organization. I'm going to start here with statuses. You can add as many statuses as you want. What a status does is it makes it so that the technician can update the ticket and let the end user or their manager or whoever's going to look at that ticket know what the status is of that ticket. One that I love here is this awaiting customer feedback. We added that one about a year ago so that, if we left a message via voicemail or if we sent them an email asking a question and we were waiting for an answer, we put that status in so that if the customer at some point didn't get the message or the email and they are wondering what's going on with the ticket, they can look at it and see what the status is, and then they would be able to view the question and know that, we were just waiting on something from them. The blue items here, there's 3 of them. These are statuses that are required. Obviously, we need a closed status so that it can count or take your ticket count down. And then we have an initial status and a ticket pool initial status. All those mean is if you're sending things to the ticket pool rather than automatically assigning them to technicians, it'll come in at this status. If you're auto routing and sending them right to a technician, then it will come in at this status. And again, you can type in whatever you want here. There are some defaults, but you can change the names, you can add as many as you want, or you can just have 3 if you want. Now these statuses, they go across every single group. So they might be ones that, human resources might need different ones other than IT. And so those statuses will be something that everybody can view, every technician anyway, across all groups. Then we have priorities. Most tickets, you want them to come in at a low priority. You don't really want to give your end user the option to tell you what the priority is because everything would be a very high priority. But you can put different ones in here so that the technician, again, can change their priority and maybe prioritize them when they're looking at their tickets and what needs to be done. So you can add in as many as you would like, and then over here, it's just giving you the option of a certain color, maybe some text or nothing at all, and it's just the way when the technician views all their tickets at once, they can view what the priorities are very quickly. Now, custom fields might not make much sense right now, but when I pull up a ticket, it will make a lot of sense. I just kind of look at custom fields as additional questions that might need to be asked because we do have what is on the ticket, what comes on the ticket for the end user to fill out. But if you need additional information, then you can ask those questions. Like, for example, we have one for room number here. We do a lot of business in education, and so we have technicians that go out to schools, and they don't know where Mrs. Brown's classroom is. And so something that they put on every single ticket is they require a room number to be entered. So when that person is submitting the ticket, they put the room number, and then the technician knows right where to go. So we're basically just trying to cut down on technicians' time. The same as like a printer. There's one that we have of, I guess it's this one at the bottom, is it plugged in? Sometimes end users have that DeskJet printer and it doesn't work, but they're not checking the cords, maybe the cleaner knocked it or something the night before. So if they're selecting their category as hardware and then printer, this question pops up and it makes them go, oh, well, let me check. And if it wasn't plugged in, they plug it in and don't have to put the ticket in. And these could also be looked at as, like, let's say your technicians are receiving tickets and they're continually asking the same questions. Maybe they want to know, when's a good time for me to come out? You can put that kind of stuff on the ticket itself as well. So that being said, I'll show you how exactly this works. You can set up, if you notice here, some of these have locations. And this means that this question is only going to come up when that location is selected. Some of them just have a group, like this one, room number. That's only going to come up when tech services as the group is selected. These ones that come right down to the category option level, these are only going to be asked when that category option is selected, like the printer. You don't want to ask, is it plugged in, if they're calling in an email issue. And so it can get very, very specific, and these questions appear on the ticket at the category option level, or they can be very general and be at either the group or the location level. Down here at the bottom, this is the permission model that I talked about a little bit earlier. You can see here, these are all of the groups that I have in this demo, and all of the groups are currently using the default permission model. So let me show you what that looks like. You have a lot of different options. These ones at the top are basically managerial. I like to think of, the two little people are more for managers, maybe technicians. But let's say this one, delete attachments. You don't want your technicians to do that. You just want that to be a manager role. Then you can put that in here as just managers and above. So that would be managers and administrators. Let's say you do want your technicians to delete attachments, then you can add that here as well. What the users right above that means, let's say you have one person that's assigning out those tickets, and maybe they need to have the ability to delete attachments. You can give just that one user the ability to do something without granting them the whole role. So I can have a technician that I don't want them to be a manager and have all the manager rights, but I do want them to delete attachments, and you can just add that one person's name here under the users. So that's what the users and the roles are for. Now, down here at the bottom, I'm just going to close some of these out. I did a demo yesterday, so they're open. But down here at the bottom where it says view and change, these are all of the things that appear on the ticket. So view contact. Yes, we want to view the contact. We want to know, who sent the ticket in. Change contact. Maybe we don't want them to be able to change who submitted it, and so you can come in here to the change contact and take that permission away from an end user. If you don't want the end user to submit tickets on other people's behalf, you can take that option away. But that's what all of this is here. So when I talked about category and category option before, you might be an organization that doesn't care about that. You just want the tickets to come in, you want your technicians to work on them, and you don't care. It might take people too much time to select a category or category option. If you're not going to use that, then you can come in here and take it right off the ticket. So on the view, you're going to make it so that they can't even see it. And so your end users don't even know that that's an option to put that in. So there's a lot of different things that, something that once you set it up, you could just go in and view the ticket, see how you have it set up, and see if you want to change anything. But there's a lot of different options here in the permission model. Now, a few things real quick, just as far as, if you're setting it up on-premise. We do integrate with LDAP and with Active Directory, so you can pull that information over. You can set up different mail servers or different email addresses for each department. So let's say you want, your human resources, their tickets to go to a certain address versus your IT to go to a different one. You can set up multiple ones of those. And then, of course, if you're going to integrate with ZenWorks, then that configuration is there. So I'm going to go ahead and just log in as a user. And just show you what it might look like for the end user. When they log in, it looks relatively close to what the admin user was seeing. The user is going to see their name up here in the upper right-hand corner. And these two tabs are automatically created when a user is created. They get one that says owned by me and one that says my closed tickets. Owned by me is just any tickets that they have entered into the system that are currently open. And the my closed tickets are ones that they've entered and are now closed. So when they log in here, they can see all the tickets that have been entered. They can come in and look at one to maybe view the status. So when they pull this up, they're seeing that it's been assigned, but it's not updated yet. There's no comments, nothing like that. So, maybe they want to ask a question and ask why, what's going on with the ticket. They can come in and do that. They can print it, make any changes to it that they want to, because these are tickets that are associated just with them themselves. So a few things here that users might do is view any tickets that they have entered or enter a new ticket. So I'm just going to click new ticket here. Now if you only have one group, let's say you're only using IT, it's going to default to the IT group here so that they would miss this step. But if you have more than one group, then they're going to go ahead and select where they're sending their ticket to. The contact information, the location, the email, the address, this is all being pulled over as to who's logged in right now. And so it'll just automatically default their name. If they are a person that floats between more than one location and the default location might be this high school, but they need to put in a ticket at a different school, then they can change the location here. So it just gives them the ability to submit from more than one location. Now here we've got the category and category option, those things that I talked about, but I want you to notice room number, question, these were test items. When would be a good time to contact you? And then I was testing something else here. These are custom fields. Now if you notice the question and the checkbox test, they don't have a red asterisk because I didn't make those required. So any custom fields or additional information that you need, you can make that required so that the end user can't save the ticket until they fill that information out. So I'm just going to go ahead and select a category, and I'm going to do this printer one that we talked about. And if you notice, this question came right up, is it plugged in? And that's because it was set up to appear when the category option was selected. And so they would just continue to fill the ticket out, and then just enter in the subject. Now they could carbon copy or blind copy somebody if they needed to, or they could type in, a much longer note as to what the problem is. They can also upload an attachment if they need to. But if all they're doing is saying what this issue is and I'm done, I'm just going to click Submit Ticket. And then it's going to look like the one I had just pulled up as if I was seeing what the status was. If you notice here on the assignment, it automatically, this is one that was auto-routed to Gus, and I can't change it. So end users can't go in and maybe select their favorite technician so that they're constantly getting the same person, and then that one technician has way too many tickets. So you can set that up to where they can't make that selection. Now, you could also give it to them if you would like, but if it's grayed out here, then it's something that we have set in the permission model that the end user cannot do. So right now, this one has been saved, and so the end user would be done. They've submitted their ticket. So one other thing on here that end users might use, or you could encourage them to use, is the knowledge base. You can just enter in, maybe how do I do this? How do I set up my voicemail? So that they just have a reference before maybe submitting a ticket in order to do that. So there's a few different things here that you can enter in. You can take any tickets that have come in and convert them to knowledge-based articles as a technician. But it's just a place that they don't even have to log into the system. It's available to them right from the home screen. And so it's just some self-help that they can do. So I'm going to log in as a manager, but I wanted to show you right here, search knowledge base. This is where if the end user didn't want to log in, but they wanted to look to see if, how do I reset the voicemail, they can click that and view the information without even being logged in. So from an end user perspective, it's pretty simple and easy. They log in, put in a ticket, and then they can view their tickets right there. If you don't even want them to log into the system, there is an email to ticket feature. And so what they do is you set up an email box, it@yourcompany.com, and they just pull up their email and they submit an inquiry to that address. Well, when it comes to that address, it converts it into a ticket. And so those would route right to your ticket pool, and then somebody would monitor those and either make the assignments or they would work on those tickets themselves. So anytime a ticket comes in to the ticket pool or to a technician and they want to go ahead and open that up and take a look at it, if I was to make a comment here, let's say I had a question, I could make a comment, and when I save the comment, I'll show you if I can spell. They have some options here to notify the technician, the user, or somebody that was on the BC or CC line. So normally, as the technician, I don't need to notify myself when asking the end user this question. So the default is to take that off. But let's say I'm a manager and I'm commenting on this and I want the technician to see the question or the comment, then I can notify them as well. But it defaults to the user, so I'll just go ahead and save that. Now anything that is entered into the history comments or any comments that are made is going to display here. So you see that the end user asked this question, when are you going to fix this? And then I logged in and said whatever I needed to say. But me coming in here and posting this comment automatically sent an email to Nikki. And so Nikki just gets an email in her box. She can read what the question is, and she can just reply to that email, and her reply will come here in the comment as well. So she doesn't even have to get notified through email that the technician has placed a comment on the ticket, then go log into the system, find the ticket, pull up the ticket, click on Add Comment, and put her comment in there. She can simply reply to the email. So it's pretty easy and user-friendly for end users once that ticket is submitted, the correspondence between the technician and the end user. Now the technician can do that as well. I mean, let's say Nikki responds to this and the technician, Gus, gets it in his email, he can respond and do the same thing that she just did. So sometimes it's just a matter of them getting the ticket and then they just work out of their email, but it's all logged in here. The only thing they would have to do is come in here to close it out. Now once it's closed out, I'm going to close this one. Anytime you make a change and click Save, it's going to ask you to put a comment. This is just saying that, you know, it's changed to closed. I don't need to notify the user, so I'll just save that. Now, if you notice, this button comes up as soon as something is saved, or I'm sorry, as soon as it's closed out. So the technician can then take this article. Let's say they've been working extensively on somebody, corresponding back and forth on how to fix a problem. They can convert this to a knowledge-based article. So maybe it's something that will help end users in the future, or maybe it's something that will help the technicians. Because technicians and managers do have the option to create knowledge-based articles and make them private, meaning only technicians and managers would see them. And so public items, anybody can see, but private items, you have to have that technician or manager role in order to do that. So you know, when you're in the ticket itself and you've been corresponding back and forth, sometimes maybe for a few months, you know, rather than typing all of that information up and how it was fixed, and you can convert it and just edit, you know, what you don't need in there. So it makes it very simple to change tickets into knowledge-based articles. So I'm logged in as the manager here, and I'm sure you can see there's a bunch of different tabs across the top, whereas the end user, they just had 2 tabs. Well, managers and technicians, they can set up as many different tabs as they want to. And these tabs are based on filters. So if you look at this one, tech services, this is just the group, you know, everything that's been sent to that group. The hardware, these are anything that has a hardware as the category. These ones, Layton Middle School or Bountiful Junior High, those are just different locations. So you can have a technician that, let's say they service three different locations, and so they want to group all of those tickets together, because maybe today I'm going to go to Bountiful Junior High, whereas tomorrow I'm going to go to Layton Middle School, and so it's nice to see everything at Bountiful all at once. So these are really simple to set up, and they, like I said, they're just based off of a filter, which I'm going to get into now, searching and filtering. First of all, you have a quick ticket search up here at the top where the technician can just type in maybe a person's name and press enter, and it's going to show up any tickets that belong to that person. It's just a quicker way just by typing a few keywords. But to do a more extensive search, you can click the down arrow here and you can search on any of these fields. So it's going to have all of the ticket fields here. So you can come down and think, okay, I want to see everything in this one group. So that one equals tech services. So now I want to see everything that's been assigned to a certain technician. I think I skipped it. Oh, it's at the top. And of course, I don't want to see anything closed because, I mean, the way I look at it, once something's closed, I'm not going to think about it again until maybe it occurs or needs to be reopened. But so I don't want to see anything closed. So what this is showing here is the more information you put in, the more narrow your search is going to be. And so if I want to view all this information, I'm just going to click Apply. And everything that was under that group with that technician that's open is showing here. So from this list, I can do a few things. I can export it, and I can export it to a PDF, or I can export it to Excel. But I can also, as a technician, update more than one ticket at a time. So let's say today was my day or at Davis High School, and I closed out, 4 of these tickets. I can just highlight those ones, click Mass Update, and then these are the options that I have to update all of those 4 tickets at once. So I could come in here and say, okay, I closed all these out. So I'm going to, oops, wrong one. Switch that to closed. I can enter a comment if I want to. If I don't, I can just go ahead and save it, and now those 4 tickets are closed out. So I didn't have to go into each individual one, open it up, change the status. So it's just a quicker way to do that. And like I said, there's a lot of different options underneath the Mass Update, that you can do. You can change them, change the assignment to somebody else. You can change the priority, update the estimated completion date, anything like that. So it's just a quicker way to do a lot of things at once. So that was just a regular search, but let's say I wanted to save this search for future use. It's something I'm going to run all the time. So I'm going to name it and then I'll just go ahead and save that filter. So now, if I click on this Filters tab, I'm going to see that. So here's the one I just saved. So I can come in now and let's say next week I want to do the same thing. I can just run that filter and those tickets will appear and anything else that might have come in between then and now. Now if you notice there's some private ones here and then here's a public one. If it's private, what that means is the person that created it is the only one that can see it. So I have created all of these and these are all of mine for me to view only. If I make something public, then other technicians can view the filter too. So it's a good thing for one person to be able to create a filter and then other technicians be able to run it. But if it's something that you're just running strictly for yourself, then you can mark that as private. So after you have filters done, or you've saved a couple filters, and let's say now you want to see a report, instead of just exporting that to PDF or Excel and having a bunch of information to sort through, you want to look at it in a different format. So under reports here, I'm just going to show you one that's already created, but they have you name the report, and I always name the report the same as the filter because then I know if I want to change the information that's going into that report, I know which filter to go and update. So you name the report and then you select a filter here. The options over here, you can mark it as private again so that it's just something that you as a manager can see and no other managers would view it. The grouping, you can group by a few different options. You can group it by the group, location, category. Even though this says ZenWorks 1011 asset, it could be any asset. And then if you're going to regroup, so first I want to see it by status, or I'm sorry, by technician, and then I want to drill down on it and see the status of the tickets for that technician, or see the location or whatever the options are here. You can set that up. Now the ordering, you can order it alphabetically or by the greatest number of tickets. On the formatting, I'm going to switch this to HTML. Basically, you have PDF, HTML, Excel, and CSV. The most popular ones are HTML so that you can use this drill down functionality, or just a PDF. So here I've selected to do a bar graph, and then this is where it gets, where I think the reports are really valuable. You can set up a report to run on a schedule. So I can set this report up once and then set it up to either email myself. So I'm getting this report either on a weekly or daily, however often you need it. Or if you're reporting to somebody else, you can set up the report and have them automatically emailed to your managers, or maybe if you're looking at it in a school sense, the principal at a certain school to see, the status of what's going on there. So you set up the recurrence as far as when you want it to go, and then you're going to say who you want it to go to, put in the subject, body, just like an email, and then save that. And then that's going to run on whatever times, dates you have entered, and the person will receive that report. So right here, you'll notice recurrence not set. That means this is just a report that I didn't tell it to run on a schedule. It's just a report I want to view. So here you notice this one is currently running with these black dots moving in a circle. I can change that at any time. I can just click the stop button, and now that report won't be sent out anymore. So I'm going to run this report just so that you can see what it looks like. So here was the location. Remember, I had it grouped by technician. So here is all of the technicians here. And let's take a look at Gus, because my drill down was based on status. Looks like that didn't come up. Let's try it again. Maybe I didn't save that when I switched it. Okay, I guess I did. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so he's got 3 tickets. They're all work in progress right now. So that's what the report would look like if it was emailed to your manager or to yourself. So again, you can set these to public or private as well. So the knowledge base, I mean, we kind of went over as far as your end users are concerned. But like I said, if you have it's something that you want to mark as private just for your technicians, then they would be able to view it here as well. Under the templates, there's a few different things that templates can do. If you have, let's say you have a call center and you're constantly getting, the same type of request. I'm going to click over here to tech services. So let's say a password reset. People forget their password all the time. So it's always the same ticket. It's just a different contact. You can come in here and set up the ticket yourself. So here is the ticket. Notice everything is filled out except for the contact. So you just set that up and you save it. And then when a technician or your help desk person, all they have to do is click here and launch this template. Notice it took my name because I'm the one logged in, but I can select whoever else, and then all I do is save it. Save it and launch it. And the launch ID, that tells you it went through, and it gives it a ticket number. So it just cuts down on time. You can do that for your technicians too. I mean, you can set up any type of template that you might, people are calling in and it's the same type of thing all the time, so you don't have to type all of it in. There's a few other things that templates do as well. One would be like this top one, database backup. If there is something that happens on, like let's say you're backing your database up once a month or once every 2 weeks, however that goes, you can have the entire ticket filled out again. And then you just click to this recurrence tab and you can set it up as to when to have that ticket go out. So rather than you coming in here and remembering, every 2 weeks or every month to launch that ticket, the system will do it for you. And so the ticket will go right to who it needs to, and they work the ticket and close it out. And then when it comes time for you to report on it, the information is going to be there. And then the last thing that the ticket templates do is we can set up some workflow. So I'm going to go over this new hire one, because normally, when we hire new people, there's a lot of different things that need to happen. And a lot of those things happen in the IT department. They set things up, they give them a network ID, they set up their email, whatever it may be. You can have a bunch of different tickets, one for each one. So we've got computer setup, phone setup, set up on the network, things like that. So you set up each individual ticket, and then over here on the workflow, you'd have to click Enable Workflow first. And all of your ticket templates, they would appear here on the left-hand side, and you're simply just going to drag and drop them. So if you look at here on step 2, the ticket of user added to the directory and setup desk are both launched at the same time. When those two are closed out, then the phone setup and the computer setup tickets are launched, because these could go to all different people. And so rather than just passing word along or sending emails, you can set up the workflow so that the system does it for you. And all you're basically doing is launching the initial ticket, and then everything will happen sequentially after that to however you've had it set up. So the last thing that I want to cover here, something else that's automated that the help desk does, and that's the scheduler. You can set up scheduled items to run so that you don't have to remember to do these things. So most people have SLAs. It could be 24 hours, 48 hours, whatnot. So you can set those up to where, emails are sent if you're not meeting the SLA. So like this one, this one is set up to send an email, and it's going to send the email to whoever it was assigned to. And all of this stuff that you're seeing in here are different things right from the ticket. And if you click Show Tags, then you'll see all of that stuff. So these are all things that you can include in the email. So a lot of times we do include the ticket ID, the ticket number, the subject might be in the subject line so that the technician receiving the email sees all that from there. And then here's the note itself. It looks like this note has been included, so whatever the person put on the ticket in the note field will show up there. And so this is just sending out an email reminding them, hey, we're not meeting the SLA. Some other things that you can do is this resolved to closed. This is something that we do here. Our technicians will set a ticket to resolved, and what will happen is that ticket will sit in that resolved status for 3 days. I think this demo has it set up for, well, 10 days. And if they're not calling back and saying, no, this isn't fixed, or now it's doing this, then the system will see that nothing's been done on the ticket, and it will automatically change the status for you. So it's going to switch it from resolved to closed. And it will also send an email out if you want it to. Like this one says, we haven't heard from you, we're closing it. You don't have to send an email. They might have just seen that it was resolved, and to them it was resolved. So you don't have to let them know, but you can have it change the status for you. But still, you're giving them those extra days to call back and let you know if it is not working. So, I mean, you can see here that we can change the priority through the schedule. Some of our customers have certain categories. If it comes in as a network issue, then we change the priority from low to high. And the end user doesn't see that stuff, but because of the change there, then the technician would see it, and maybe you can send out an email to the technician saying you need to look at this right away. There's a network problem here, something like that. So that's what the scheduler does, and anything you can think of that needs to be automated on the tickets itself are things you can set up here. It looks like nothing's been set up under the other groups, but so, I mean, I hope that I've shown you a few ways to automate things to help save your technicians time, or ways that your end users could get some self-help to then save the technicians time as well, and let them, be doing things that need to be done in your organization other than the data entry side of it. So I don't know if there's any questions, but Amy, if there is any, I will gladly answer them.
All right.